All right, I think we're rolling. Hi guys, it's Alex, Pedantic Skeptic here, and today I am going to step away from AIG. My brain just can't deal with that for too long, so there is a YouTube account called Cornerstone Church, Cornerstone Church SJ. I don't know what the SJ is, but that's okay. I am going to try and respond to some of their stuff. I think today I'm going to do their Origins and Evolution. They have a two-part Origins and Evolution apologetics session. Each one is over an hour long, so this is going to be a multi-part series for obvious reasons. So I am going to get to part one of my video on part one of their video. We'll see where this takes us. So let's begin. No ads, okay. Oh, come on, just like get to your point, Jesus Christ. Apologetics, presenting the rational case for belief. I just want to say first, why are they doing a men's Bible study but not a women's Bible study, or Bible study for just anyone? I find that a little confusing. Maybe this is a misogynistic church. I don't know.
Phil, would you mind opening us up today?
Dear Lord, we just thank you for this time to come together, Lord, and to learn more about the apologetics class. Lord God, we thank you for Matt's preparation. We just pray that you would open our eyes to see and open our ears to hear.
Real quick. I do not know. I don't want to accuse these guys of anything, but do they, like... I'm just finding myself really distracted by the background. Like, you know, like that purple marker reminds me of the purple marker I have in the other room that I write on my board with to, you know, write down tasks that I have to get done. And then there's a thing that kind of, you know, under that TV, there's something that looks like a jellyfish or a hot air balloon. And, you know, like, I can't really tell what that painting at the bottom corner is supposed to be. Is it like a dragon? I mean, like, maybe it looks like a dragon or something. And I'm just saying this because if they want to reach everybody, they really should be concerned about people who have ADHD and other neurodivergencies where they're, you know, this can be really distracting. So I'm just gonna try to stay focused. No guarantees. Let's see, you know, we're 49 seconds in and they haven't really introduced anything yet, but, let's just see where this goes.
We just give you this time and we ask you to bless it in Jesus' name.
Amen. All right, so we are going to attempt to cover a very light, not very heavyweight, not very deep topic about the origin of the universe.
Just a quick heads up to folks. As I just scroll through my phone notifications because I am very easily distracted. There are separate sciences for the origins of the universe and the origins of life, and then the evolution of life. I just want to put that out there.
And once we've covered that, then we're going to get into evolution and you know, the origin of man and so forth. So this image right here is actually not the Milky Way. That's actually the Andromeda Galaxy, which is...
I'm not going to fact check that. It's not even because it's out of my wheelhouse, but you know, it is what it is. I am not too concerned about...
I guess one of our close neighbors.
Only 2.5 million light years away.
Exactly, very close neighbor.
M16.
Yeah. And so I thought it was a fitting representation for sort of the cover slide here for this. But I wanted to take a poll to start about who in here, I think I know how the answers are going to go, but who in here thinks the universe sprang from nothing?
Define nothing, because, and I don't have a perfect understanding of this because, again, I study biology, a relatively specific section of biology at that. I don't study the cosmos. I don't study, well, I mean, technically, because I study biological organisms, I study a fraction of it. But anyway, I study biological systems. I don't study the fucking stars and space and shit like that. I study living organisms, and it's really fun to do. I Jesus Christ, why am I getting random emails? You know, I'll worry about it later. Um, I study plants and insects mostly. Um, so I forgot what he asked. Oh, the universe springs from nothing. There is, I believe, Lawrence Krauss was the one that said that like philosophical nothing versus absolute nothing or some shit like that, where like um nothing could mean the net energy of the universe is zero, and so you know there's just as much positive energy as negative energy or something like that, where the universe is technically still nothing. So did it actually arise from nothing, or was there a singularity? I don't know. Um, I I don't know where I stand on this. It really depends on what you mean by nothing.
Absolute nothing. Absolute nothing.
Okay. One sec. Ignore the ungodly number of tabs I have open right now. Define absolute nothing. Well, these are two different things. Some of them has no quantitative value. Zero. Because you can have a universe where there's +1 and -1 somewhere else, and it equals 0 at the end of the day. What is the naked scientist? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I... This is really distracting.
Okay. Do you believe the universe is a cosmic accident?
Define accident, because if we're thinking about accident, there would have to be there would have to be an intentional force to cause an accident. And I don't mean like an accident was on purpose. What I mean is, when I think of accident, I mean something unintended. And there would have to be someone or something to intend for something else to happen in order for there to be an accident. So I'd say no, I don't think we're an accident.
No. Do you believe the universe had a creator?
No. I mean, I guess it depends. I don't think that the universe had a... I mean, the universe got started somehow and it came from somewhere, but I wouldn't call it a creator.
Yes.
Okay. Why do you believe the universe had a creator?
Because the Bible tells me so.
It's not a bad answer. It's not a bad answer.
The order and the design that's required for what a creation
Yeah,
is.
so we're going to get into a bunch of that. But
Oh boy, I can't wait.
I thought it would be fitting to start with Genesis 1:1-3, which says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light.
Are you going to demonstrate that that's how it happened?
So, there's a variety of beliefs about the origin of the universe. We're going to.
This is correct. There's only, really one way the universe came into being, and there's really only one correct stance or belief, if you will, but we'll get there.
Talk about some of them. Certainly won't cover all of them.
When he says he's going to cover some of them, I suspect he's going to cover two. Evolution versus creation. He's probably going to conflate evolution with the Big Bang and, the 10 other things that happened before anything could actually evolve. And he's probably then going to strawman that so he could push a creation narrative. But I don't even think we know all of the origin stories, because I'm sure that some cultures that never wrote anything down came up with origin stories that have since been lost.
Some believe the universe was eternal, and for a while that's what people thought. The universe was eternal, it was static. Some believe that it has essentially always existed for all of eternity.
Isn't that what you just said?
So infinite into the past. Some believe it sprang into existence somewhere in the distant past. Some believe that we live in a cyclical universe, a universe that sort of is created and collapses in on itself, and is created again and collapses in on itself, and has been doing that for all of eternity. So that it expands and contracts over eons of time. Some believe in a multiverse, which we'll talk a little bit about. And the idea of a multiverse is that there are multiple universes that are existing simultaneously in their own sort of.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily mutually exclusive things. Jesus Christ. So, just a heads up for folks, when you hear that funny tone, that doo, that's just my school email my computer notifying me I had an email from my school. I don't know how to shut that off.
Bubbles, their own spheres. We'll talk about why that theory has kind of come into existence. So there's essentially an infinite number of universes.
I don't know if I'd say there's an infinite number of universes. I don't know. We don't know enough about our own universe to say whether or not there are other universes. I personally don't care. I wouldn't necessarily even be concerned about how many universes there are. I don't know why this is even an issue for anybody. Like, if God is all powerful and eternal and stuff, couldn't he make multiple universes? Come on, people.
And some of this is to try and justify some of the argumentation around, around why life exists in our universe. And then
I've never seen that. I've never noticed anybody try to argue for. Sorry, I just readjusted myself because I was getting uncomfortable sitting on my feet. All right. Whoopsie, what did I just do?
there are those of us who believe that not only did the universe have a beginning, but it had a creator. We believe that creator is God. Some people believe that the earth, or that the universe had a creator, and don't believe necessarily that it's God, but
It depends on what you mean by God, but sure, let's just roll with it.
that there is some creator. Now, what I wanted to start with was essentially, I'm going to skip to this slide.
Oh boy. I also just wanted to quickly put out there, the reason why I'm always saying, it depends on how you define blah blah blah, I'm not trying to be a smartass, a lot of these people like to do what's called bait and switch, where they will use something that doesn't have a specific definition to it, where they will use a word in an inappropriate manner, and then later on in their argument they will use that same word, but they mean a different definition of that word. So I need to lock somebody into a strict definition of something, so that I can address their argument correctly.
What I wanted to start with was a. Oh no! Share. Let me stop. Let me stop sharing. Pause this. So, can you see that now? Let me mute the sound here.
Sounds nice.
Oh, I like the corpse flower and the beach ball and.
I'll leave this out. Okay. So, this is a website that was created to try and demonstrate the scale of the material universe.
Okay.
And I thought that it was fitting for us to essentially kind of try and visualize that, because I think some people think about the universe.
That's a pretty good sized beach ball if we're comparing it to just, I mean, maybe this is a pipsqueak dude or some, thing like that, but, yeah, I mean, like, so far I'm not objecting to really much of what they're showing, but, let's see where they're going to take this.
Universe, and they don't necessarily really think about the size and scale of the universe. And so I thought it was fitting for us to kind of take a look at that and really understand when we talk about big, the big that we're talking about, and when we talk about small, the small that we talk about, which we'll get more into in evolution. But
Thank you for turning that distracting music off. I mean, it wasn't terrible music, but it was definitely starting to make me be like, where's that music coming from?
it was getting a little distracting.
Thank you.
But you can see over here on the left-hand side, this is meant to represent essentially a meter and a human, right? And as you start to scale out...
Oh, I like that. I thought that was like DNA at first, but giant earthworm, that's cool. Imagine trying to keep those in captivity.
You can start seeing that you get things like elephants, Japanese crab spiders.
A very, very poor rendering of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Rex should be lowercase. But it is what it is. I mean, it's not terrible scaling. I think Tyrannosaurus should be about twice the length that it's represented here.
Yeah, giant earthworm. Yeah, the T-Rex.
I like the wandering albatross. That's like one of my favorite birds. I'm not a big bird person, although hummingbirds, birds of prey, and certain seabirds I don't mind. I'm not a fan of the passerines, those noisy ass motherfuckers that keep you up in the morning.
Right? These are all things that we can kind of envision in our minds. We watch.
It looks like off to the left side of the Apollo lunar module, it's like a nugget of weed or something.
Right? Average.
What species of oak is that? I'm just kidding.
Size of a house.
Why is the Latin name of that sauropod not italicized?
Size of a blue whale, Boeing 747. These are all things that are Statue of Liberty, Titanic, right? We get to something, around a kilometer in size, right? These are all reasonably understandable numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But then you start to scale out, really, right? You start to look.
Rhode Island. That's funny. Yeah, Rhode Island's a pretty small state. Having lived there for 6 years, it takes like a half hour to go across the state and maybe 45 minutes to go up and down. Though if Providence traffic is bad, it can take over an hour. But yeah, that's kind of funny.
Look, that's the size of a marathon, right? 26.
I love how the marathon is almost the length of Rhode Island. Like, if you were to do a marathon in Rhode Island, you'd have to like run on the fucking Newport Bridge or something like that.
Miles, the size of Rhode Island, right? You're starting to get to some of the moons of some of the planets. Start seeing some of the sizes.
I love how West Virginia is just a honking giant state.
Of countries. We're still not in like
Texas, yep. Where's Colorado? I'm just kidding. How the fuck is like California the same size as Italy? Jesus Christ.
we're like in 1 megameter size range. And now you're starting to get into things like Pluto. Everybody knows what Pluto is, right?
Yes.
Mickey Mouse's dog, yes, exactly.
Just cut to the chase. Come on.
That's exactly right. Right? Ganymede.
You know, maybe I need to stop blind reacting to some of this shit because, like, I'm just wasting time and getting really distracted. Like, we're almost 8 minutes in, and we still haven't really gotten to anything I can address adequately just because it's like, I mean, I do want to say that this is a two-dimensional representation of everything, and while that's not inherently bad, you just should keep that in mind.
Right? Still moons, Mars, size of Earth. And then we start getting into some of the stars. Sirius B, the Minecraft world, that's an important one.
Okay, that is funny.
Saturn, right? Proxima Centauri.
The sky is pretty entertaining. If nothing else, this is at least giving me some entertainment in my dull, boring life. I'm just kidding. But I really want to see where he's going with this.
Distance from the Earth to the Moon there, we're at a gigameter, right? Then we get to the size of our sun, right?
Wait, never mind.
And as we continue to scroll out, you start seeing that our sun is actually
Total human height. What? Oh, is that the height of like all 8.1 billion humans on this planet right now? I don't know.
quite tiny compared to a lot of these other stars.
Hey, it's like an anagram for my name.
Right? Polaris, Arcturus.
Get out of the way!
Right? We're getting to
This church really needs a workout group. Fucking Christ.
a terameter, right, in size.
What the hell did that guy just like grab? You know,
That
I'm not
circle
gonna
there
work.
is a terameter. Then we have Antares.
I really hope I don't become a middle-aged person that looks like that guy. Like, I don't want to be balding. I mean, I don't think I'm in any danger of going bald right now, but still.
Right?
Is he drinking Starbucks?
Distance from Neptune to the Sun. Kuiper Belt.
Light day, that's cute. That's how quickly light moves. That's amazing, isn't it?
We start getting into some of the nebula.
It takes 8 minutes for the light from the sun to reach the Earth.
Right? Stingray Nebula.
Oh, that's cute.
Now we're at a petameter. We keep scrolling out.
Hamburger.
You've got a light year. That's that light year. That's how long it takes. That's the distance that it would take you a year to travel at the speed of light.
Yes.
That's how far that distance is.
Ooh, I mean, it doesn't look that much like an ant, but I'll let it
You
slide.
start getting into some of these
A slur! I'm just kidding.
other nebula. Now, you remember where the human was? You remember where our sun was? Right? We're still going. You got the Cone Nebula. We're at an exameter in size. That is 1 with that many zeros meters. Cave Nebula, Barnard's Loop.
Tarantula Nebula. I think it's this. Yeah, I believe so. Jesus Christ. Hummingbird! I love hummingbirds. Alright. Russell's teapot, that's cute. Chicken egg, quail egg. Whee! Alright, I don't want to be... Why can't I fucking... Jesus Christ, I want to move around on this a little bit. God damn it. So, depending on the species of... No. Depending on the species of ant, you're gonna have different, sizes. Technically, that's the sunflower fruit. It's an achene. It's not a seed. Or how do I turn... There we go. Jesus Christ. Also, the type of sunflower, the cultivar is going to make a difference in how big that, seed is. A coffee bean is not actually a bean, but that's okay. Little earthworm! Which species of common earthworm is this? Is it going to tell me? No. Jesus Christ. true. It's cute. Let's see. A dodo bird. A burb. Oh, fucking shit. Rhode Island! Yes. Um, yeah, I knew that. Rhode Island, how... Yeah, this is like half the length of Rhode Island. Like, Jesus Christ. Or it's maybe the same width, just not the same height as Rhode Island. But, is that a... What is Nyx? Oh, that's cute. Oh, that's cute. What is this? Oh, that's adorable. Anyway. Um, blue whale. That's really funny, actually. Um, so, yeah, it's Rafflesia. Yes. But anyway, some hummingbirds are like the giant hummingbird is like this big, and then there are like bee hummingbirds that are like this big, and there are gonna be different ants that are different. Whoops, I gotta slide this way. Different fucking sizes. That's a fruit. The sunflower seed's actually inside the stripy bit. Um, grain of rice, duckweed, amoeba. That's very cute with the human hair. I love LCD pixels. Smallest object visible to naked eye. Width of silk fiber. Very nice. X chromosome. See, what about W and Z chromosomes and things that aren't using this sex determination system? I know I'm being a little picky, but I'm pedantic. Let's see. Hepatitis. COVID. That's cute. Alright. I know, I'm just being a little bit silly right now. Alright, let's get back to the video. Not that. This.
Tarantula Nebula. Now we're starting to get into galaxy size. So you have a Leo 2 dwarf galaxy, right? Sagittarius dwarf galaxy.
You know, I'm just gonna skip ahead because this is like look, there now he's gonna zoom in, I believe. Yeah, he's just zooming in. I mean, how long does this go on for? Jesus Christ.
So, with all of that said, let me go back to
I mean, like, that's 14 minutes of my life I'm not gonna get back, but that's okay.
presenting. Right. Back to the beginning here. So, the prevailing scientific theory of the origin of the universe is something called the Big Bang.
I'd say so, yeah. Generally I fact check everything, but, you know, if he's, like, we'll just go with it for now.
Heard of the Big Bang? Everybody's heard of the Big Bang, and I'm not talking about the TV show The Big Bang Theory. That's a funny show, though.
It is. Yeah, it's a good show. Not my favorite, but I do watch it. I don't have an issue with it.
But there's something called the Big Bang. So the Big Bang posits that the early universe was small, very small, like pinhead needle small, and unimaginably hot and dense. And that the singularity, which is what they call that sort of hot ball of matter and energy, exploded at some point in what they call the Big Bang, very scientific, and began to expand outwards in all directions. And scientists arrived at this theory due to a number of interesting scientific discoveries. But the Big Bang, I have a representation here. I have a couple of representations here where it talks about the sort of phases of the Big Bang. And how they know all of this, I'm not entirely sure.
That's something we have in common. I don't know how they figured all this out either. I mean, personally, we can verify other branches of science that are a little bit more tangible to us, and I think that, you know, it would be reasonable enough to and I say question everything, and I still stand by that, but I think it's reasonable enough to assume that, this is sound enough science where, these people know their shit. It's not in my wheelhouse.
So you have this like singularity where time begins, right? And then that's at 10 to the negative 43 seconds. And then at 10 to the negative 32 seconds, there's a post-inflation, and that soup of electrons and quarks and other particles begin to expand. About 1 second in, it's still too hot to form into atoms, so forth and so on. Then at about 300,000 years, electrons combine with protons and neutrons to form atoms, mostly hydrogen and helium. Light can finally shine. At 1 billion years, gravity makes hydrogen and helium gas coalesce to form giant clouds that will become galaxies, and small clumps of gas collapse to form the first stars. And then at about 15 billion years, the galaxies, this is kind of like our present day. So this Big Bang came along basically prior to the Big Bang. There were people that thought that the universe was sort of static and eternal, right? Had existed.
It can't really be eternal if time didn't begin yet. Eternal is in the context of time, and when you don't have time, you don't have a temporal scale.
Existed for all of time. And then, and that the bodies within it, the galaxies, the planets, and everything within the universe kind of just moved around within this sort of bubble of the universe. But then in 1927, there was a guy named George Lemaitre. Let me see if I can put his name up there. He was actually a Catholic priest, but he posited that he was also a brilliant physicist. He posited that the universe itself was the thing that was expanding. That bodies weren't actually moving within the universe, but the universe itself was expanding. The way a good illustration I've seen in like high school science classes is if you take a balloon, right, that's partially filled up, and then you draw dots on the outside of the balloon, and then you blow the balloon up and it starts to expand. The dots themselves aren't moving. The balloon itself is moving, and so the dots are moving away from one another, not because they're moving, but because the balloon itself is expanding. So
Yeah. Although I would say that that doesn't account for all the movement, like the orbit of planets. I would say is probably not so much about an expansion, but just gravity. I mean, maybe, the pulling of the universe outwards and then the attraction between things inwards keeps the planets in orbit. I don't know.
you can imagine that if we have a whole bunch of things inside that balloon that are essentially tethered to the outside of it, as you would expand that balloon, those things, those balls or whatever you have inside there would start moving away from one another. But it's not because those things actually are in motion. It's more that the universe, or in this case the balloon, representing the universe, is expanding, pulling them sort of away from one another. So he posited that the universe itself was a thing expanding, and that's why we when we look out at galaxies around us, we see them all moving away from us, and so the universe itself is getting larger, and everything is moving away from us in all directions.
I guess. Close enough. Whatever.
So 2 years after 1927, there was an astronomer named Edwin Hubble. Anybody heard of Edwin Hubble? Probably have heard of his last name at least, right? The Hubble telescope. So he actually was able to observe and notice that galaxies were in fact moving away from us, and the farthest galaxies were moving away faster than the ones closer to us.
Isn't that cosmic inflation or something like that?
And they did this through something they call redshift. So there's redshift and blue shift. So redshift is when they see there's like a hue of red on something, that's because it's actually moving away from us.
Hang on a second. Are they talking about red or far red light? Because, you know what? I'm just gonna assume that they're talking about red light, not far red light. Not gonna worry about it.
And so you see that sort of light spectrum shift because of the movement. And if something's moving towards you, you get what's called blue shift, which actually gives it sort of a blue hue. And so that discovery basically confirmed that all of these galaxies are moving away from us in all directions. So it sort of confirmed the idea of an expanding universe. So this was sort of revolutionary, right? Because if you can explain that everything is moving away from you, then what happens when you hit the rewind button? Right? Everything starts coming closer to you, right? To a point where if you rewind back far enough, everything will sort of collapse in on itself, right? Everything will start colliding, it'll start getting sucked in. And so based off of the rate with which things
Based on, not based off of.
are moving away from us, they were able to postulate that if you rewound 13.8 billion years, everything would be back into a single point, which is where they get the date of the Big Bang, or the date of the beginning of the universe, right?
I guess. Again, this is not something I'm familiar with. I would love it if somebody who has more of a specialty in this addresses this first part of this video. I do want to just kind of watch through this because I want to just kind of. I don't want people to accuse me of deceptive editing or anything, and so I would rather have, you know, at least most of this video, kind of up so that people can kind of see, what the context of everything else that this dude says is.
Now this is actually, we're not going to talk about evolution a lot here today, we'll talk about that next time.
God damn it. I'm not gonna. Let's just see where this goes. Whoops. Just muted it. Whoops. There we go.
It's a huge problem for evolutionists.
How? What's the problem there?
If you have a static and eternal universe, you have an infinite amount of time.
Okay. Wait, let me see what he was trying to say again.
It's coming closer to you, right? To a point where if you rewind back far enough, everything will sort of collapse in on itself, right? Everything will start colliding, it'll start getting sucked in. And so based off of the rate...
Oh, I rewound a little too much, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
With which things are moving away from us, they were able to postulate that if you rewound 13.8 billion years, everything would be back into a single point.
Okay.
Which is where they get the date of the Big Bang, or the date of the beginning of the universe, right?
Yeah, sure.
Right? Now this is actually, we're not going to talk about evolution a lot here today, we'll talk about that next time, but this actually was a huge problem for evolutionists.
Are you going to elaborate on why that is?
Because if you have a static and eternal universe, you have an infinite amount of time to deal with the sort of random chance that you needed to create life from non...
Wait, what? I'm confused. If you have a static and eternal universe, you have infinite time to, create the random chance. What? Let me just think on that for a second. I don't know exactly what he means by random chance, but if what he's implying is that, with infinite time, there are infinite possibilities as far as molecules arising, I guess technically he would be correct, but I don't think that there being a, 14 billion year old universe, I think there's plenty of time there for whatever random chances he's talking about to occur would occur.
Non-life, right? To create a living single-cell organism from, a bunch of random chemical particles.
Just remember, every millisecond, there are vast numbers of chemical interactions happening. And not only do we have almost 14 billion years for various specific reactions to happen, we have so much space. He showed that scale of just like even how big the Earth is, how big the universe is. Somewhere at some time in that universe, it is completely feasible for chemical reactions that bring forth life to occur. Now, that's the theory of abiogenesis. It's not exactly something I'm familiar with. I know a little bit about it. Like, I know about the Miller-Urey experiments, and I hope he covers those. I don't know how well he'll cover them, but, that's just one of several things that now points to abiogenesis being a viable hypothesis. There's also the hypothesis of panspermia, which we will talk about. That's basically the idea that you know, from outer space, the precursory chemicals to life, amino acids and shit like that, um, came forth. And the thing is, these people have no problem accepting that organic chemicals um, occur. Organic chemistry, something I did fairly well in, doesn't require a living organism. However, living organisms require organic chemistry. But anyway, um, panspermia is the idea that basically um, the molecules that gave rise to life forms rode into the Earth on meteors. Um, in my opinion, that's kind of just pushing back the abiogenesis a little bit because the precursor chemicals had to form somewhere. Whether or not they formed on the Earth or came on a meteorite from somewhere else, they still formed.
But if you have a beginning, now you have a clock.
I mean, remember that time didn't exist before this, but again, it's 13.8 billion years of time.
Right? There's only a certain number of rolls of the dice that you can throw.
How do I explain this? It's not like, let's just pretend that a roll of the dice takes, half a second. Or a second, even. Now, how many... Okay. So, there are 31.5 million rolls of the dice in a year. I'm not going to do the math multiplying that by 13.8 billion, but you get the point. The other issue is you're acting like it's one dice roll at a time. Think of it more like in every given square nanometer, there's a dice roll. Multiply that by how many square nanometers are in the universe, times how many seconds the universe has existed for, and you'll see that there are more than ample opportunities because the processes that caused the first life forms to arise only had to happen once. Whether or not it only happened once is a different matter. It's irrelevant. It only had to happen once. The fact that it did happen does not necessarily bring us to any conclusion, but it could happen randomly.
Within that time window, and unfortunately 13.8 billion years, while being a long time, actually presented them with some issues with regard to whether it was enough time for the variety of species that we have just on planet Earth. So this is where the Big Bang Theory came from, and this is essentially still the most prevalent and accepted scientific view that we have today. And while it did explain what we see, I think one of the things now this is my opinion, that it didn't explain is where did those tiny hot particles come from?
We don't know. And, I don't want to accuse him of making God of the gaps fallacy. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I don't know. But what I will say is that there's no shame in not being sure about that. There's no shame in not knowing that. There is, I think, more shame in jumping to any particular conclusion, but there's really no reason to say, like, we have to have an absolute answer right now. We should be encouraged to just forge onward and try and figure these things out because it's cool and we're curious.
Right? Because again, right, if you look at the second law of thermodynamics, right?
Oh boy. Remember that the second law of thermodynamics applies to a closed system. And whether or not the universe itself is a closed system, I'm not sure. But the Earth is certainly not a closed system.
You've got a bunch of things that tend toward chaos, right? Things don't tend towards order; they tend towards disorder. That's essentially what the second law of thermodynamics states. So again, you don't actually explain where did the matter and energy come from that could have created this universe.
Sure. But if you explain it through a creator, you're just pushing that question back one level, one step. Where the hell would the creator have come from?
Right. Even if you postulate that stuff existed and that it was and that it exploded and and the universe is expanding out, you still don't explain where matter and energy came from.
And that's fine. This is a decent argument in some respects for a general creator god or something, or a prime mover. It doesn't really get us to Christianity. This is a Christian church, but that's besides the point right now.
That could have created that. So that's one flaw that I see in the argument around the Big Bang.
But the Big Bang isn't really concerned with addressing that initial question. The Big Bang is more about addressing how the universe started, not necessarily where it came from. Those are two different things.
And again, there's some people that believe maybe that there was a creator of the universe that created those things and then utilized the Big Bang to.
Yeah. And that's more reasonable than special creation, but we'll get to that later.
To actually, birth the universe into existence.
Yeah, it was Jesus' voice. It was so loud, it sounded like a big bang.
It sounded like a big bang, exactly. So this leads us into, here's another image that you usually see around Big Bang expansion.
Okay. All right. I've drawn on for long enough. I think that's where we're going to stop for today, or for now. So for people who are not, aware of the behind the scenes, which is fine if you're not, I am planning on making, not really behind the scenes of my video making process, but more of like a, here's all the other stuff I have going on in my life right now kind of video. But, it's about 4:15 right now, Mountain Time. What I'm probably going to do is get to making some plant and fungus and growth medium. Probably go autoclave it later tonight, but I'm going to tend to some things here, take care of some stuff, and then later upload this and maybe make part 2. I don't know yet exactly when I'll make part 2. I just have a lot of stuff that I have to get done. I did want to just take a little bit of a break from droning on about my other stuff and working on this, just to kind of stick my foot in the water, get my toes in the water, or whatever the saying is, whatever. But yeah, we'll just keep chugging on.